All right. Good afternoon. I'm going to start with a senior personnel appointment. Following consultations with the Executive Board of the UN's Children's Fund, the Secretary General is announcing the appointment of Catherine Russell of the United States as UNICEF's next Executive Director. She will succeed Henrietta Fore of the U.S., to whom the Secretary General is grateful for her commitment and dedicated service to the organization. The Secretary General wishes to express his appreciation to Ms. Fore for her inspiring leadership of UNICEF and, in particular, UNICEF's critical role in the global response to COVID-19 and in reimagining education. As a result of her leadership, UNICEF is now an organization with a broader array of public and private sector partnerships and bolder focus on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Ms. Russell brings to the role decades of experience in developing innovative policies that empower underserved communities around the world. She currently serves as assistant to the President and Director of the White House Office of Presidential Personnel. From 2013 to 2017, she served as Ambassador at Large for Global Women's Issues in the U.S. Department of State, and we welcome her, and we send our congratulations also to Henrietta Fore for her work. I wanted to flag a horrific story, which I think so many of you have seen. The International Organization for Migration today said that at least 54 migrants died in yesterday's truck death in Chiapas in Mexico. This is the single deadliest incident for migrants in Mexico since at least 2014, when IOM began documenting deaths of migrants. As a reminder, some 651 people died this year attempting to cross Mexico's border with the U.S., more than in any year since 2014. This increase is especially concerning because most data for this border region is reported only after the year ends. According to IOM, the number of deaths and disappearances had increased on many migratory routes across the world in 2021, including in Europe and the Americas. The UN agency says that with the case in Mexico, the migrant death toll in 2021 has surpassed 4,470 men, women, and children. The organization notes that globally, the number of deaths this year is already more than the 4,236 totally recorded in 2020. According to IOM, more than 45,400 deaths have been recorded since 2014. And if this latest incident isn't a reminder for the world and for member states to agree on controlled and managed migration, it's unclear to see what is. The Security Council is currently in close consultations on Sudan. Volker Perthes, the special representative for the Secretary General in that country, said in the open meeting that preceded the consultations that in the last 6 weeks, Sudan's political transition has been undergoing its greatest crisis to date. He noted the crisis is not yet over, but discussions on the way forward have begun. Mr. Perthes said he cautiously welcomed the November 21st political agreement between the Prime Minister Hamdok and Lieutenant General Burham, which was reached after weeks of domestic and international efforts to find a way out of the crisis. He called the agreement far from perfect, but said it can help avoid further bloodshed and provide a step towards comprehensive dialogue and a return to the constitutional order. He acknowledged that many feel betrayed by the coup and now reject any negotiations or partnership with the military. Mr. Perthes has agreed to speak to you at the stakeout at the Security Council as soon as the consultations are done, and we will let you know when that is. Today is International Human Rights Day. In the message for the day, the Secretary General says our world is at a crossroads. The COVID-19 pandemic, the climate crisis, the expansion of digital technology, all in areas of our lives have created new threats to human rights, but we can choose a different path, he underscores, adding that recovery from the pandemic must be an opportunity to expand human rights and freedoms and rebuild trust. The principles set out in the Universal Declaration for Human Rights remain a key to realizing all human rights for all people everywhere, he concluded. Quick update to you from Cameroon, where UNHCR says today it is deeply concerned by renewed intercommunal clashes in the far north region. At least 22 people have been killed, according to UNHCR. Thousands have been displaced inside the country, and more than 30,000 have fled into Chad. 80% of the new arrivals into Chad are women and children. UNHCR, working with Chadian authorities and partners, is supporting refugees with emergency shelter and assistance. The clashes began in the border village of Ulumsma, following a dispute between herders, fishermen, and farmers over dwindling water resources. Violence then spread into neighboring villages. UNHCR said 10 villages have been burned to the ground as the situation remains volatile. And an update for you from Jamaica, which recently received 100,000 doses of vaccines through COVAX, bringing the total number sent by COVAX to Jamaica to more than 1 million. The UN team there, led by resident coordinator Gary Conneal, is working with authorities and partners to increase confidence in vaccines and the uptakes of doses. The Pan American Health Organization has called on countries to increase vaccination coverage while also implementing public health measures to limit transmissions of the virus. More than 780,000 COVID-19 infections and 11,000 deaths were reported in the region last week alone, yet just 55% of people in Latin America and the Caribbean have been fully vaccinated. Tomorrow is an international day. Anybody know what day it is tomorrow? International Mountain Day, and this year's theme is Sustainable Mountain Tourism. Ahead of the day, UN Food and Agriculture Organization, the UN World Tourism Organization released a report highlighting the role of tourism in the sustainable development of mountain regions, including in boosting livelihoods, alleviating poverty, and promoting environmental conservation. Sunday is the International Universal Healthcare Coverage Day, and in his message for the day, the Secretary General emphasizes, as we enter the third year of the pandemic, we must urgently strengthen our health systems to ensure they are equitable, resilient, and capable of meeting everyone's needs, including for their mental health. The Secretary General stresses that the best insurance for resilient economies and communities, as well as pandemic preparedness for the future, is strengthening health systems before crisis arrives. He calls to all to join the commitment to end the pandemic and build a healthier, safer future for all by investing in health systems that leave no one behind. And Sunday is also the International Day of Neutrality. But I take no position on that. Sorry. Yes, Celia.
Stephane, 2 days ago in Burkina Faso, the Prime Minister, Christophe Dabire, has resigned, which of course means that the government, according to the Constitution, has to resign as well. Is the Secretary General concerned about the security deteriorating in the country?
Well, I mean, we've seen that the resignation and the dissolution of the government is happening in a context of insecurity, but not just in Burkina Faso, in the broader Sahel. That is something the Secretary General has been very concerned about. I think he spoke about it even yesterday. He's spoken about it repeatedly, especially a call for a multi-sectoral approach to dealing with all the issues that are facing Sahel. I mean, security is what is the most visible and attracts the most headlines, but we all know there are development and governance issues throughout the region. It's very important for the international community to support the countries, notably the G5 Sahel force. We continue reaffirm our commitment to sustain and support Burkina Faso in its ongoing efforts to counter and prevent violent extremism and foster social cohesion. Yeah.
If I may, despite the G5 force Sahel, nothing is going right. So what's the point for the force?
Well, I mean, I don't share your assessment that nothing is going right. The challenge the force has been facing is the lack of predictive funding. We've also support the idea of that it operate under a Chapter 7 resolution, and the Secretary General, I think, has been very clear on advocating for that. Okay. Yes, Yassine.
Stephane, update for the refugees they've been, trying to pass to Europe, and they stop him in, by Poland and Belarus and stuff like that. And what happened right now with those refugees?
Well, I mean, we've all seen the terrible images of migrants, of refugees, of men, women, and children seeking a better life. We saw what was going on at the border between Belarus and Poland. Just read about, I mean, I just mentioned the horrific death toll in a truck accident in Mexico, which killed more than 50 migrants. We've seen also deaths at sea increase. This is all linked to a number of things, including conflict, including climate change, and including the lack of real and sustained and logical cooperation between countries of destination, countries of origin, countries on transit, on how to manage the movement of people, which will always happen. But right now, it seems to be more managed by criminal enterprises than by governments. James Reinl.
Hi, Stephane. Quick question on Kathy Russell, the woman who's just been appointed as the new head of UNICEF. She's an American, 74 years. It's always an American in this job. Why is that?
Well, there's a process. There's a consultation between the Secretary General and the Executive Board of UNICEF, and senior people get appointed. Yes, Alan.
Thank you, Stephane. Today, London court ruled in favor of the U.S. appeal to extradite Mr. Julian Assange. Do you have any comment regarding this?
No, I mean, we've seen the news. My understanding is there's still a judicial process ongoing, appeals and so forth. So at this point, we have no comment. Okay. Madame Paulina, all yours, and I wish you all a wonderful weekend. And hopefully we won't speak to each other over the weekend, because if we do, it's never good.